Yes. All right.
Okay.
What would you like? I have Yingling, and then I have that amber. I figured
Just
you would
split
have
one
one.
with the other, that's all.
All right. We have the Yingling.
That's all I'm interested in, is the definite.
All right. So you said you had some stories about when you were,
Little boy.
yeah. Like what are some of your earliest memories?
Earliest memories, I was born during World War II.
Mm-hmm.
And some of my earliest memories are kindergarten.
Uh-huh.
And I was taken to kindergarten by one of our neighbors. And this was a morning kindergarten, and he drove us on his way to work, Mr. Hust. Hust,
Yeah.
his son, and his daughter, Johnny, and I can't remember her name anymore. But he took us to school,
Yeah.
and my older brother, who was in the 8th grade, brought us home from school. And he brought me home on his bicycle. He came.
Really?
It was a mile of school,
Uh-huh.
and he came to the public school, and he was on his lunch half hour, 45 minutes, and he drove me home on the handlebars of his bicycle. And he was only in the 8th grade.
Yeah.
That's how I remember getting home and fearing for my life.
Because you were in.
Was
just half days.
Yes, just
Okay.
half days, kindergarten, and I remember going down hills, and he was in a hurry because he had to get.
He had to get you home and back in an hour.
And he had to get back
Or
in
half hour.
probably 45 minutes. It was probably, and it was a mile.
Yeah.
And I'm almost positive in the 1st grade I walked to school. And it was,
Wow.
you were very safe in those times doing that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I can remember my sister being very caring of me at that time, my sister Betty.
Mm-hmm.
Even before that, she was very caring, and I remember.
Yeah.
But I can remember walking to school and walking home, and there was buckeye trees, and I can remember picking up buckeyes and taking them home.
Yeah.
And went to a Catholic school, and everything you felt perfectly safe.
Mm-hmm.
Nowadays, you would never let your 1st grader walk to school.
At least not that far.
No.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Here.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
Good.
Hi.
Good.
Good.
And you can remember the priest was very strict.
Uh-huh.
They were all nuns.
Yeah.
And I can remember in the 1st grade I had a little hood, a thing with a hood, and the 8th grader would come and he would put the hood up on me and call me Little Red Riding Hood. And there was nothing I could do about it. There was nothing I could do about it because he was much bigger than I was.
Was that it sounds like the worst insult you could do back then, maybe. I mean, that's pretty insulting.
Little Red Riding Hood. Yeah. And I can remember I can remember going on vacations with my mother and father.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time there was no expressways. So it would take a day to get through Kentucky to go down south.
Was it just you, or was it with you and your?
My parents, just my
Yeah.
my brothers were older.
Yeah.
And I only remember going to Michigan one time.
Mm-hmm.
Went on vacation with them, and I can remember as a little boy sitting at the dock, and all of a sudden I saw this speedboat coming in. I was by myself, and he coming in. I said, "Oh, he's coming awful too fast, coming way too fast into the dock."
Yeah.
And I said, I was getting ready to shout, he's gonna hit. And sure enough, he hit the dock.
Oh.
And he hit the dock, and he smashed his boat. And I think he probably had too much to drink, or somebody
Yeah.
in that boat up in Michigan, Houghton Lake. That was a memory. I remember having some asthma as a kid, and my father was a smoker, and I can remember him setting me up on his, let me drive the car. I can remember that. He was a good man. He was,
Yeah.
and we were not poor, we were not rich, but he earned a good living, and
Yeah.
remember playing baseball as a young boy, going to baseball practice. Started pretty young playing ball. And there was no T-ball, there was no D-ball. It was C, B, and A, and I played all those. And so it was a very different growing up. I can remember TV. The first TV we had back was in 1952, very early.
Was that early for TVs to come out? Were you like the first on your block?
We had some of the first ones. It was a small TV, GE TV, and I can remember some of the early World Series where the Yankees playing the Dodgers.
Yeah.
I can remember Willie Mays going back to catch the ball in 1954 against the Cleveland Indians. And we didn't have a whole lot of books. My mother bought me some encyclopedias. Encyclopedia salesmen came around at that time, and I read those cover to cover.
Wow.
I learned a lot reading encyclopedias in the summers. And fairly early I started cutting lawns, but that was, my father passed away when I was 12 in 1956. So I said, oh boy, I have to go work.
Yeah.
I have to go work. And so I cut lawns and it didn't make a whole lot, but I can remember my bank account building up and building up and building up, and I'd save, and my godmother and godfather gave me some money now and then, and didn't have a whole lot for Christmases, but I remember playing with Lionel trains and getting Lionel trains for Christmas, and then adding to those, for 3-4 Christmases after that, and learning all about putting the track together, doing that. And remember that for 4 or 5 years.
When your father died, did you have to move out of your house?
No, we stayed in the house. We
Okay.
stayed in the house for a period of time.
Did that drastically change your lifestyle, or did he have life insurance to cover things?
He had bought a lot of war bonds during the war. He wasn't in the war, but he made thermometers. My father made thermometers that went into submarines and went on to steam train engines. And he was an inventor.
Yeah.
So he had some, not a whole lot. He had some life insurance, but he had a lot of people bought war bonds during World War II, and that's how they financed the war.
Yeah.
The part of the war. So my mom there was Social Security. She got some of that for me.
Yeah.
And my brother Ned he was in college, I think, at that time. So he was still around the house, and he helped a lot. He took me on a lot of trips to Washington D.C. and to Boston, and where if he thought he could learn something, he took me places. My brother Norb was in the service at that time.
He was in the Army at the time.
He was in the Army.
Yeah.
He was in the Army, and I can remember him coming home with a brand new car and
Wow.
going to my ball practices. And try to remember the good things. Try to remember all the. There was a lot of good things at that time.
Yeah.
It was. You felt a lot very safe in what you did. So.
Yeah.
And then I went to my neighbor. He owned a dry cleaning store, and I said, "You have some stuff I can do there." And I went there and worked at his dry cleaning store, cleaning it and helping.
Okay.
And he also had 2 apartments, and I cut the grass there, and I cleaned the apartments, the halls of the apartments.
Yeah.
So I did those jobs for him. Had maybe a half a dozen lawns that I cut, and I shoveled snow, and did stuff to make money.
Wow.
And
You were in a Catholic school at the time, right?
this was Nativity Catholic School in Pleasant Ridge, a suburb of Cincinnati.
Mm-hmm.
It was actually part of the city,
Mm-hmm.
and we were approximately, maybe 15 miles to the city,
Mm-hmm.
and in the heart of the city.
Yeah.
But I went to Nativity grade school and played ball and played football.
Mm-hmm.
Nativity grade school.
Yeah.
And then I went to St. Xavier High School,
Mhm.
which was a pretty good high school downtown in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
And the first year, my Latin teacher was in our neighborhood.
Hmm.
So he drove me to school every day the first
Hmm.
year.
Did you speak Latin on the way to school?
No, he tried. He tried. Mr. Trier.
Yeah.
And sometimes he brought me home. A lot of times I took the bus home.
Okay.
And I did real well.
Yeah.
Did pretty decent at St. X.
Mm-hmm.
And, Latin, I liked history a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed history. Some of the English, those were some of the strong subjects. But it was a pretty good trip downtown to St. X was an old school
Yeah.
downtown.
Yeah.
And,
It was old back then. I know they've moved since.
Yeah.
They've moved since.
Yeah, they moved, and then
It's now what, a parking lot and
Oh, yeah.
or something.
I was 2 years there.
Mm-hmm.
And then they built the new school. I actually worked at building the school as far as cleaning.
Mm-hmm.
There was a crew of 3 or 4 of us. The Jesuits always were good at the kids that needed,
Mm-hmm.
that had to make tuition money. They
Yeah.
had
Mm-hmm.
36 Jesuits, priests and brothers.
Hmm.
So there was 6 tables, I guess
Wow.
5 or 6 guys at
Yeah.
the table. So what we would do is lay out the dishes and then bring
Mhm.
their food to them and be there if they wanted extra, whatever. We had
Mhm.
actual white coats on.
Yeah.
Okay, there was 3 of us,
Yeah.
and then 2 of us would do it at a time.
Okay.
You know, and then we'd swap off. And I did that for a year, or maybe 2 years. Did
Wow.
it for 2 years.
Wow.
And I played football at St. X also. And
Mm-hmm.
so I did that.
How many years did you play football?
I played 2 years.
Okay.
Played sophomore and junior, and then I
Mhm.
was hurt.
Yeah, that's
At
when
the end of my
that's when you
junior
hurt your
year,
knee.
hurt my knee, and
Yeah.
my coach wanted me to play in the worst way.
Yeah.
He wanted me to play pretty bad, and I said, well, I don't know, I wanted my knee to get better.
Yeah. And that's kind of plagued you ever since.
And that hurt.
I mean-
Yeah, that hurt a long
Mhm.
time. 'Cause so, and then after that I went to Xavier for
Mm-hmm.
almost a year and a half.
Mhm. Yep.
And then there was a draft. The draft came
Mhm.
for the Vietnam War,
Yep.
and I was doing fair and running out of money.
Yeah.
So I said, oh, you get it. I was almost inducted, but I got interested in the Navy
Mm-hmm.
and joined the Navy Reserves. So instead of being drafted into the Army, I joined the Navy.
Yeah. Why did you choose the Navy as opposed to, I don't know,
Air
the
Force.
Air Force, you know, maybe the Marines?
Well, I had seen the Navy Reserve as a Cub Scout. They took us down there,
Okay.
and I got interested in that.
Yeah.
They took us down.
Yeah.
As a Cub Scout, they took us to a jail, and Norwood Jail, and
Yeah.
saw the prisoners, and that's other places they took us. I had always been interested in. There was what they call Victory at Sea movies on TV,
Mhm.
and they were World War II
Yeah.
movies. And I was always, and I had the knee anyway,
Yeah.
but I possibly could have got out, but I did not want to.
You mean that could have maybe prevented you from
I could have
being drafted?
I probably could have got a doctor's certificate to get out,
Yeah.
but I felt like I always wanted to join. I always wanted to be in the Navy,
Mhm.
you know, and
Yeah.
I wanted to, and
Yeah.
so
How long were you in the Navy?
I was in the Navy about almost 2 years and 4 months,
Okay.
3 months. The boot camp didn't count, but then I
Okay.
had 2 years of regular duty.
Yeah.
And then I was in the really 6 years I went to meetings. For
Okay.
about a year,
All right.
reserve meetings. And,
What was the name of the boat you were on?
so on the ship, the Aldebaran, it was a ship that was built in 1939.
Mm-hmm.
It was a refrigerator ship.
Yeah.
And what they would do is take food over to the idea was to keep the fleet self-sufficient, so it wouldn't
Mhm.
have to go into port.
Yeah.
It could always be independent as far as food.
Mm-hmm.
So we would get alongside carriers and offload tons and tons and tons of food. And get offload all the other ships and offload food.
Okay.
We would they could highline it over. Okay.
You would take a what?
They would, take it from ship to ship, just on wires. They would
Oh,
take the
okay.
food,
Okay.
big old nets
Yeah.
full of a ton of food.
Yeah.
So
I bet they were happy to see you.
Oh, yeah.
When you came by.
So we ate
You were
well.
most welcome.
Well, and we also in turn we ate well.
Yeah.
And it was my choice. I could have gone on to a carrier or whatever,
Mhm.
but it was reserve duty, and I wanted to get in and out.
Yeah.
So I had done.
Yeah.
In the meantime, one of the best things that happened was when I met Sue, my wife. That was one of the
So you met
Yes.
her. You met Mom before you went in.
yeah,
Right.
64. And then I went
Okay.
in. I went in January of 66. So I went in
Okay.
January 3rd of 66. So I knew her.
So you'd known each
I
other for
known
2
her
years.
About a year and a half.
Okay. Were you actually going together for that
Oh,
long,
yeah,
or
yeah, we were
Okay.
going together. Yeah.
that must have been hard?
Yeah, I thought
for both of you.
I thought I had probably lost her. And then she decided to go into the missionaries
Yeah.
at the time,
Yeah.
and which worked out good. She was a missionary for 2 years. I was in the Navy for 2 years, so she had got some experience and
Mhm.
got to see the world a little bit.
Yeah.
I got to see the world. I got to the Mediterranean,
Mm-hmm.
and I got to Germany, France,
Wow.
Spain,
Yeah.
Italy.
Mm-hmm.
And I also got to the Caribbean, St. Thomas, Virgin Islands,
That's all
Puerto Rico, and
It's quite a voyage.
yeah, well,
from
it was
Europe down
six
there.
different. We went out about 7 different times.
Okay.
Went over to the Caribbean or to the Mediterranean, I think 4 times, 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
Went to Caribbean twice.
Wow.
Just taking food, just taking
Hmm.
food.
So you'd go and drop it off and then come back and resupply? Where would you
Yeah.
resupply?
Norfolk, Virginia.
Okay.
The food was in Norfolk, Virginia.
Wow.
So we would
How long of a trip is it from Norfolk, Virginia over to,
Caribbean,
or to Italy, for instance?
about 10 days.
Wow.
10 days to get over there.
Okay.
Yeah. And I was in the engine room, so we ran the ship.
Mhm.
We made water. If the captain would say that all ahead 1/3 and all the way full blast. and all
So
the
somebody's
way
down there actually
was us.
Yeah.
Changing valves and changing different
Mhm.
things. It was me.
to actually make it go.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
I did. And I was that choice I wanted to go to a school, which was a machinist made school. So there
Mhm.
was that choice or be a hospital corpsman.
Yep.
And hospital corpsmen happened to go along with the Marines.
Mm.
I didn't. I couldn't have hacked that. With my knee, I couldn't. Have
Yeah,
And I couldn't have hacked that. I had trouble with my knee in the Navy because I
Hmm.
fell down once and
Mm.
down when the lights went out. I fell down in the
Oh,
engine
jeez.
room and had to go take therapy for my knee in the hospital.
Yeah.
And but there was good experience.
Yeah.
And then.
Would you get to see the sun every day? I mean, could you come up
Oh,
on
yeah,
deck or?
yeah.
Okay.
I was a messenger for a period of time, so I got
Mhm.
to come up and go over.
Yeah.
And one time I even cleaned the johns just so I could stay up.
Yeah.
All trip all the way over. I just said, okay, well, I think you got to volunteer to go up and clean the john.
Sure.
Because I got to stay up.
Yeah.
You know, I got to be a 3rd-class petty officer, which is
Uh-huh.
about average for 2 years.
Mhm.
They call it 3rd-class petty officer. Didn't make a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't make a lot of money. So,
Hmm.
and then I came back and went to work for Lair Precision Tools
Mm-hmm.
and worked there 18 years
Yeah.
and helped build the electrochemical machining.
Mm-hmm.
Helped build 3 of the first machines, good part of it, and I had that a functioning functioning thing where they could make parts. You know, I made a lot of parts myself.
Sure.
Made a lot of the aircraft engine parts. And
18 years you worked there.
I worked there 18 years.
Yeah.
I worked there 18 years.
And then eventually you spun off Arnold
Well,
Gage
I
from
bought,
there.
they offered it, they were
Yeah.
trying to sell it.
Yeah.
They were trying to sell it and they saw themselves retiring
Mm-hmm.
in
Yeah.
8 or 10 years. And
Mhm.
and I would have been in an issue. You know. But it came out all right because
Mhm.
I bought it from them at a fair price, a good price. I paid a lot of money for the Arnold Gauge and built it up.
Yeah.
And, you know, I had it 23 years.
Yep.
And
Yep.
most years until the end, it was good. You know,
Yeah.
the end, the whole economy went down some.
Yeah.
So that was a positive thing. One of the most positive things is having 5 boys that I'm so proud of. And that's that, and a wonderful wife who a lot of support. Married into a nice family. Been very lucky. Been very lucky. I remember the good things and forgive the bad.
Yeah.
Remember
Yeah.
good things and forgive.
Yeah.
You never forget the bad, but you forgive the bad. You know, that's a good thing. Remember the good, forgive the bad. And some of the bad, you learn from them.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the bad you learn from them. You know,
Yeah.
you had good experiences in the Navy, you had bad experiences you learn from. There's some things I just soon forget in the Navy.
Yeah.
There's some, I almost let the lights went out in the ship one time. And
You did?
yeah. I had never heard of that. I almost did.
Was there like a switch you were supposed to have thrown and didn't throw it? A valve you were supposed to open?
Screwy good. Yeah. there was 4 valves you're supposed to change, and I
All right. Now it's going.
make some good friends, study hard,
It's not good.
Mhm.
stick with it, and get education. Try to get degrees in things you like,
Mhm.
and things that will be able to earn you money.
Thank you for asking. She's kind
Try to-
of mediocre.
Be involved with some religion. Be involved with religion.
So you guys went out?
Believe in your country.
What is that? Oh,
The way it was set up was still the best. You may not, things may not go perfect, but believe in your country. A lot of people have given their lives
Yeah, up in the cabinet.
to give you the freedom that you have, and remember their sacrifice, and remember you live in the best country in the world. Okay?
Cheers.
Cheers. Enough?
I'm happy.
Okay.
I like working this stuff.
So anyway, that's good.